rights of those people.
I wasn't interrupting you.
Yeah, no, sorry, this one.
Ich habe die Brid Smith.
Gurmagut. Ciapam is refrún anastarú leisio, refrún starúl do manana herin, refrún starúl do na dini orgus sitírsio, agus tá rawa a gwyn sy'n refrún sio. Tá rawa a gwyn dul con cíni ainaf, nu fanúnt sa durachas, go jo. I think it is really important that we understand this referendum is about making a choice of what kind of country we want to live in. Do we want to move forward, or do we want to stay in the dark ages that is best represented, I think, by the opinion given by the Catholic bishops on this issue? I'm not against Catholics, I'm not against any religion. I would probably risk my life to defend anyone's right to practice the religion of their choice, but the religion of their choice is their business and their business alone. But when the Catholic bishops preach that abortion is murder, and that we have to be opposed to it in all cases, even when it's put to them in the cases of rape, incest, in situations, heartbreaking situations, where a woman is carrying a child that she is told won't live, and they say it is still wrong. This is what we have to move beyond. When I was in an abortion clinic in 1984, it was just after the referendum, I met a woman from Shankill there. She was pregnant on her 7th child. She was poor, and she struggled to get the money to go to Liverpool for an abortion. She cried her eyes out to me before and after that abortion. I became her best friend in that clinic. And her problem was not that she was having to terminate a pregnancy of her 7th child. Her problem was that she went to confession before she went to Liverpool to tell the priest what she was about to do. And he told her that she was committing a mortal sin and she'd go to hell. But she had to make a decision for the other 6 children. Would she live for them, or would she die in pregnancy, because the doctor told her she would not live through a 7th pregnancy? So she made the decision to live for her 6 children and to risk going to hell. And I'm delighted she made that, and I comforted her by saying, I knew a firefighter who reared 4 boys, 4 very angry young men who now live in this country. And he reared them on his own, working through shifts and doing his best to rear the kids and guide them in the right way, because his wife's doctor also told her she could not carry through a 5th pregnancy or she would die. Her priest also told her she'd be committing a mortal sin, and she made the opposite choice and she died. And that man reared 4 angry boys on his own who missed the hell out of their mother. That's the sort of choices we are faced in with this country. We either move forward out of that dark age, or we stay in it. Or worse still, it gets even darker than it was, because those who want to force women not to be able to make choices about their lives will be upbeat and confident to be able to say, for example, they'll arrest women for taking the abortion pill in over the internet. Perhaps do what they did in the north of Ireland and arrest the mother of a young girl who procured an abortion pill for her. Let's think about that, the confidence that will be raised on the side that want to do us down, do our gender down, do our rights down. And I want to say to the movement out there, and I was on the streets like Deputy Coppinger last night with the people who were marching, and I tell you, it was so uplifting, and it really does contrast the dark ages with the future, because the vast majority of people out marching last night for repeal were young men and women, young and passionate and determined. And it's their future that this is about. I'm gone past my sell-by date. Many people in this Dáil are. We have to think about them, and we have to think about that as citizens of this country. Not so much of what has gone past, but those who do want to force us to stay in the dark ages, they bear a responsibility as well. Please do not do this to other women ever again in this country. And my fear is that if we don't stick together and really make sure that confidently we get rid of the 8th Amendment, we are going to push women back into a more severe position. I can tell you something, if I was young again, I wouldn't want to live in this country if after the 29th of May, or whatever the date is, the 8th Amendment is still in the Constitution. I would be gone on the next plane or boat, and I would stay away, because I think that augurs really bad for the future of this country, because the future is about equality. It has to be about equality. And we saw how that was celebrated when the same-sex marriage referendum was won. And equality has to also be about women. You know, and it was International Women's Day yesterday, and right across the world, women are rising up and they're saying we're not taking this crap. From the Me Too campaign to the, the demand for gender pay equality, there is a revolution happening that is saying women are not going to tolerate being second-class citizens. And when we look at the 8th Amendment, that's what it does to women in this country. It puts us into a category that we don't have equality, and we will never have equality as long as it remains. So when we go out knocking on doors during this campaign, I want to say to all of the people out there who support me on this, be absolutely confident that when you knock on doors, you're knocking on an open door, because we are talking to generations who've been through the dark ages. We're talking to people who know about the cover-up of the bishops over sex abuse scandals. One of them had to resign last week in County Down, Bishop McCreevy. These issues to do with the Magdalene laundries, the sex abuse scandals, are all baggage that we have in this country because we have a problem with sex and sexuality and women's freedom and equality. We have to get over ourselves and we have to move on. This is a huge challenge to us, and I think this is the challenge that the younger generation and women of this country are going to stand up to. The last thing I'd like to say is to the politicians in this House. I know we're going to go through a difficult day and probably a difficult period over the next couple of weeks in the debates. And I do want to say to people in this House that using this issue to play political games is not on. It is just not on. We have to get serious. And if you're on different sides, stand up and say you're on different sides, but don't absent yourself from this Dáil or try to demand quorums or get up on your feet kicking up a stink because you want a filibuster delay. Let's get on with the business of putting the referendum to the people and let the people decide. This will absolutely be hugely historic, and it is a challenging time for us. But to the people out there and to the movement, I want to appeal to you to work hard, to fight to win this referendum. It only comes one opportunity in a lifetime to do so, and it is going to affect the generations to come. I'll shut up now because, although I'm not using all my time, I've spoken on this issue so often and will continue to do so. But I do want to send a message to the women out there who I know feel regretful about their own past and stuff that has happened to them. I'm not going to open up a can of worms for an awful lot of women. They know themselves what it has been like. They shouldn't be afraid of the church. They shouldn't be afraid of what they're being told by priests. They have their own belief, and they should, absolutely be proud of their own beliefs and hold on to them and express them, but not be made to be fearful of them, and to hold their heads high and know that they are doing the right thing by themselves, by their family, by their partners, by making the choice that suits them. They're not committing mortal sin, they won't go to hell, and someday this country will recognise it, and someday we will have doctors and clinics and practitioners in this country who will be by their side, who will have their back and who will support them. Very, very lastly, I want to repeat something that Deputy Coppinger said, only I want to repeat it as a sort of a plea. Those in this country who think that not having proper sex education and not having proper access to contraception is going to help to protect unborn or help to protect sacred life are completely mistaken. We have to give absolutely non-Catholic, non-ethos-based sex education to our children, and we have to give contraception free and safely available to women and men. If we don't do that, all you are doing is creating more opportunities and more definite situations where there will be more and more crisis pregnancies. If you want to end crisis pregnancies, then you open up the ancillary issues for complete accessibility to everybody, because there are many poor people in this country who can't afford to go to a doctor for contraception, who can't afford to buy the coil or anything else. They need it free. We need to open up our services and we need to open up our education so that young people have a healthy, well-rounded, well-informed attitude to their sex, their sexuality and their reproductive rights.
Smith, Independence for Change.